Title: I fell asleep on the last train out of Chicago. The station I woke up at isn't on any map, and the passengers have stopped breathing. Subreddit r/no sleep. Posted by u/late night commuter 88. Time: 4 hours ago. I don't know if this is going to post. I've been hitting retry on the upload button for what feels like 20 minutes, holding my phone up toward the weird, pulsating fluorescent light in the station waiting room. The signal bar keeps flickering between a symbol I don't recognize. It looks like a jagged spiral, and no service. If you're reading this, please, for the love of God, take a screenshot. Send help. Don't just scroll past. My name is David. I'm 28. I work in logistics. I'm normal. This morning, I was worried about my credit score and a leak in my bathroom sink. Now, I'm hiding in a bathroom stall that smells like sulfur and old blood, trying not to breathe too loud because they are outside. It started at 11:45 p.m. I took the blue line toward O'Hare. I was supposed to get off at Logan Square, but it had been a head of a week. Double shifts, a breakup, the works. I sat down in one of those corner seats, leaned my head against the cold glass, and let the rhythmic clack whoosh of the train lull me. I remember closing my eyes just as we passed a vision. I woke up because of the silence. If you ride the L, you know it's never silent. Even when stopped, there's the hum of the electric rails, the hiss of hydraulics, the mumble of a drunk guy 3 seats down. But this was absolute vacuum-sealed silence. I sat up, wiping drool from my chin. My neck was stiff. The car was empty. Not just empty of people, but clean. Too clean. The grit, the grime, the scratch tags on the windows, the sticky soda stains on the floor, gone. The floor was a polished, sterile gray. The lights overhead weren't the usual yellowish tubes. They were a stark, blinding white that made my eyes water. I looked out the window. Nothing. Just pitch black. No tunnel lights, no passing platforms, just an abyss pressed against the glass. The doors hissed open. They didn't make the usual ding-dong chime. It was more like a wet suction sound, like a boot being pulled out of mud. I stepped out. I figured I must have ridden to the end of the line, and maybe the train was out of service, sitting in a maintenance depot. I was ready to apologize to a pissed-off CTA worker and ask for an Uber. I stepped onto the platform, and the cold hit me. It wasn't winter cold. It was a damp, heavy chill that seeped right through my jacket. The station was massive, vaulted ceilings that went up so high they disappeared in the shadow. The walls were tiled in obsidian black stone, seamless and slick. There were no advertisements, no call 1-800-lawyer billboards, no maps of the city, just a single long platform stretching endlessly in both directions. "Hello?" I called out. My voice didn't echo. The sound just died the moment it left my throat, absorbed by the heavy air. I walked toward the stairs, looking for an exit sign. That's when I saw the sign hanging over the escalator. It didn't say exit or give a street name. It was a metal placard, rusted around the edges, with embossed letters, Terminus 0. I pulled out my phone, 2:13 a.m., but the date was wrong. It didn't say October 14th. It just said no. I tried to call 911. The call connected instantly, which gave me a burst of relief, but there was no operator, just a sound. It sounded like wet tearing, like someone ripping a raw steak apart over and over again, set to a rhythmic metronome beat. I hung up, my hands shaking. I walked up the escalator. It wasn't moving. The steps were metal, but they felt soft under my feet, slightly yielding. I tried not to think about that. At the top of the stairs, I found the turnstiles. They were welded shut. Beyond them lay a city, or what pretended to be a city. I looked through the bars of the gate. The sky was a bruising purple, lit by no moon or stars, just an ambient sick luminescence from the clouds themselves. The buildings were monoliths of concrete, brutalist nightmares with no windows, towering hundreds of stories into the haze. And there were people. At least I thought they were people at first. Hundreds of them. They were standing in the plaza outside the station. Men in trench coats, women in 1950s dresses, children in school uniforms. They were all facing the station,
facing me. But they didn't move. They were statuesque. I shouted, "Hey, can someone help me? The gates are locked." At the sound of my voice, they moved, not individually, unison. Every single head snapped toward me at the exact same instant. I recoiled, stumbling back. They didn't have faces. Where a face should be, eyes, nose, mouth, there was just smooth, pale skin, like a mannequin, but made of living flesh. No, wait, not entirely smooth. In the center of where the face should be, there was a single vertical slit, stitched shut with thick black wire. I scrambled back down the escalator, my heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. I needed to get back on the train. Even if it wasn't moving, it was safer than this. I ran back to the platform. The train was gone. In the 5 minutes I'd been upstairs, the train had vanished, silently. The track was empty. I looked down into the track bed. It wasn't gravel and wooden ties. It was a trough of black liquid, thick and viscous, rippling slightly. That was about an hour ago. I'm currently in a small room off the main platform. It looks like a station master's office. There's a desk, a chair, and a logbook. I barricaded the door with the desk. I can hear them coming down the escalator. They don't walk. I listen to the footsteps. It's a dragging sound. Scrape, thud, scrape, thud. There's so many of them. I opened the logbook on the desk. I needed a weapon, something heavy, but I got distracted by what was written inside. It's handwritten in frantic, jagged scrawl. The ink looks fresh. Here's the last entry. Cycle 9403. The flesh takers are hungry. The train only comes when the tribute is ready. I tried to offer my arm, but they want the eyes. They always want the eyes so they can watch the impossible geometry of the below. If you are reading this, do not look at the tracks. The liquid is conscious. Do not open the door for the faceless. Wait for the brass train. It screams before it arrives. It's the only way out. I hear scratching at the door. Soft, tentative scratching, like fingernails on a chalkboard, but gentler. "Open up," a voice says. It sounds like my mom. I know it's not her. My mom lives in Florida. My mom has a thick smoker's cough. This voice is perfect, melodious, devoid of breath. "David," the voice croons, "we have a ticket for you. The conductor is waiting." I'm huddled in the corner. I'm typing this as fast as I can. Wait, I hear something else. Far off down the tunnel. A scream. Not a human scream, a mechanical scream. Metal grinding against metal. Steam escaping under immense pressure. It's getting louder. The scratching at the door has stopped. The things outside, they've gone silent. I think the brass train is coming. I have a choice to make. I can stay here and eventually they'll break the door down, or I can run for the platform when the train arrives. But the logbook, the entry before the last one, I missed it. I just read it now. The brass train does not go home. It goes deeper, but deeper is better than here. The screaming of the train is deafening now. The whole room is shaking. Dust is falling from the ceiling. The light is strobing violently. I'm going to run for it. If I don't update this, I missed the train. Or I caught it. I don't know which is worse.
Update 1. Time. Null. I made it. I think I made it. The moments after I posted the first part are a blur of adrenaline and terror. I moved the desk. The scratching had stopped, but I knew they were waiting. When I threw the door open, the platform was swarming with them, the faceless, hundreds of them, standing shoulder to shoulder in silence. But they weren't looking at me anymore. They were recoiling, pressing themselves against the back walls, away from the tracks. The train roared into the station. It wasn't a sleek CTA car. It looked like a steam locomotive from hell. It was made of tarnished brass and iron, dripping with oil and that same black sludge from the tracks. It didn't have wheels. It seemed to hover inches above the liquid, propelled by aggressive bursts of steam. The heat coming off it was scorching. It smelled like burning hair. The doors, heavy iron grates, slammed open. "Board," a voice boomed. It didn't come from a loudspeaker. It felt like it vibrated out of the walls themselves. I ran. I didn't look at the faceless, but as I sprinted past them, I felt fingers brush my jacket, cold, wet fingers. I heard the stitches on their faces tearing. I heard the wet suction of mouths opening that shouldn't open. I dove into the train car just as the iron gate slammed shut. A split second later, something slammed against the outside of the gate. A pale hand, severed at the wrist, fell onto the floor of the car. It twitched once, then dissolved into a puddle of gray slush. The train lurched forward with a violence that threw me to the floor. We were moving, fast. I scrambled up and looked around. The interior of this train is luxurious, but in a twisted Victorian way. Red velvet seats that look like they're bleeding. Mahogany walls carved with scenes of torture. The lighting is dim, provided by gas lamps flickering on the walls. There are other passengers. I'm sitting 3 rows back from a man, or a humanoid, wearing a suit made of sewn-together rat skins. He hasn't moved. Across from him is a woman weeping silently, but her tears are black ink. She's knitting something that looks suspiciously like intestines. No one is looking at me. I'm trying to make myself small. I check my phone. The battery is at 12%, even though it was full when I left work. The signal is holding steady on that spiral symbol. I looked out the window a moment ago. We aren't in a tunnel. We're flying over a landscape. It looks like Chicago, but ruined. The Willis Tower is there, but it's bent in half, the top section dangling by rebar. The lake is on fire, and the sky is full of things that look like jellyfish floating through the air, trailing long electric tentacles that zap the buildings below. I just want to go home. The conductor is coming down the aisle. He's tall, impossibly tall. He has to hunch over to avoid hitting the gas lamps. His uniform is impeccable, blue with gold buttons. But his head is a bird cage, literally a brass bird cage. Inside, there is a crow, hopping from perch to perch. He is asking for tickets. I don't have a ticket. The guy in the rat-skin suit handed him a finger, a human finger. The conductor took it, punched a hole in the nail with a hole puncher, and handed it back. He's 2 rows away. I'm frantically searching my pockets. I have my wallet, my keys, a pack of gum, and a receipt from 7-Eleven. Wait, the logbook. I shoved it in my jacket before I ran. I'm opening it. Maybe there's a rule about the conductor. Found it. The conductor does not accept money. He accepts memories. If you do not have a physical token of a memory strong enough to feed the engine, he will take the memory directly from your head. You will forget who you are. Then you become one of the faceless. Give him something that hurts to lose. He sat the row in front of me. The weeping woman offered him the scarf of intestines. He nodded and moved on. He's standing over me now. The crow in the cage is staring at me. Its eyes are human. "Ticket!" the crow squawks. The voice sounds like my father. I'm trembling. I have to give him something that holds a memory. I have a photo in my wallet. It's the only physical photo I carry. Me and Sarah at the beach 3 years ago. Before the cheating, before the screaming fights, before the divorce. It was the happiest day of my life. I keep it because it reminds me that I was happy once. It hurts to look at it. I'm holding it out. The conductor's gloved hand is reaching for it. The crow is screeching. I'll update if I survive this.
Update 2. Time. The spiral is spinning backwards. He took it. He took the photo. He held it up to the bird cage. The crow pecked at it, tearing Sarah's face out of the picture. I felt a sharp pain in my head, like an ice pick behind my right eye. And then, I felt something vanish. I know the photo was important. I know the woman in it meant something to me. I know her name was Sarah, but I can't remember how her laugh sounded. I can't remember the color of her eyes. I can't remember why I loved her. The emotional weight of it is gone. It's just a piece of paper now. Accepted.
The crow squawked. The conductor punched a hole in the photo and handed it back. I'm safe for now, but I feel lighter, hollowed out. We've been riding for what feels like hours. The scenery outside has changed. The burning city gave way to a desert of gray ash. Now we are passing through a forest, but the trees are made of bone, giant white femurs and ribs twisting up into the sky. The train is slowing down. An announcement is coming over the system. It's a whisper, intimate and terrifying, right in my ear. Next stop, the Foundry of Lost Things. Passengers for the reconstruction, please depart. Passengers for the void, please remain seated. The rat-skin suit guy stood up. He looks excited. I don't know where to get off. The Foundry sounds like work. The void sounds like death. I leaned across the aisle to the weeping woman. "Excuse me," I whispered. "Where does this train go? The end of the line?" She stopped knitting. She turned her head. Her eyes were pools of ink dripping down her cheeks. "The line is a circle, sweetie," she said. Her voice was wet. "It doesn't end. It just goes down. You missed your stop 3 cycles ago." "How do I get back to Chicago?" She laughed. It sounded like bubbles popping in thick mud. "You gave him your memory of love. You can't go back to the waking world without an anchor. You're lighter now. You belong to the gravity of this place." My blood ran cold. "There has to be a way." "There is," she said, pointing a knitting needle toward the front of the car. "The engine. The engineer can send you back, but he charges a higher price than the conductor." "What does he want?" "A life," she whispered. "A replacement. You want to go back to your world? You have to send someone else here in your place." The train has stopped. We're at the Foundry. It looks like a massive industrial complex, pipes spewing green gas. The sound of hammers ringing against anvils is deafening. I see people on the platform here, normal-looking people. They look confused, terrified. They're wandering around in pajamas, business suits, work uniforms. New arrivals. I realize what this place is. It's where the lost people go, the missing persons reports, the milk carton kids. I'm staying on the train. I'm going to the engine. I'm going to find the engineer. I don't want to die here. I don't want to become a faceless or a statue or a memoryless husk. I have 8% battery left. I'm walking toward the front of the train now. The heat is getting unbearable. The walls of the cars are pulsating, like the train is alive. I just passed a car full of children. They were all sleeping, floating in midair. I'm at the door to the engine room. It's not a door, it's a giant mouth, a metal maw with rotating gears for teeth. I have to crawl through it. If I make it back, I'm sorry for what I have to do. Remember what the woman said, a replacement. If you're reading this and suddenly you smell sulfur and the lights in your room start to flicker, I'm so sorry. I just want to go home. The gears are opening. I'm going inside. Connection lost.